welcome to another stream of Figment, a game about minds and sadness. I'm joined today with my friend Masoda here. We're talking about some cool stuff too, but just to continue what I was telling you earlier, something I've recently started thinking about life is seeing myself as a fourth dimensional creature, because we have to consider the past, whether we had regrets, good things that happened, bad things, whatever, past memories. And I also like to look at things that happen in the future as well, or things that are going to happen in the future, all the possibilities, and working, everything I do now is gonna affect that future version of me, and so considering that every day helps me get up and do whatever I need to do. And that's what I was saying, it kind of relates to, I think it relates. I don't know, what do you think?
Look at that hanging house thing! There's a loose gear on it!
Yeah, but how to get it?
Just to kind of level it out, the fourth dimension is the fourth spatial dimension, which seems a bit arbitrary, right? It's like, well, what does that look like? How does that work?
Yeah.
How does that function? And moreover, people think that the fourth dimension is time. No, there are multiple dimensions of the physical space. There are upwards of, I believe we've identified 8, but how does that all stack on top of each other really work, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the dimension of time is kind of a, how else would I say it, in a sense that it's not like a spatial dimension. Time is a happy accident of the gravitational forces pulling on everything. So for example, when you look at a galaxy or you look at a star, you should really be looking at it as a gear. And that gear is what's moving time and space, because it's literally moving space. And that moving of space creates this visual representation that we call time. But technically time is just that. It's, let me look up the phrase I said to Laura, because it's pretty accurate in a sense of, sorry, as I'm scrolling through the messages.
No, you're good. No, but I agree though. That sounds. I guess I shouldn't even use that phrase, huh? Fourth dimensional. It's just a creature over, seeing myself over all those, moments of time, moments that have passed.
Well, that's kind of the really cool thing. So, when we view another dimension, one thing that we kind of forget is because we're humans, we very much are centered on the idea of ourselves. But there are probably far more universes that where Earth is, where humans exist, literally just doesn't exist, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because a universe is so chaotic and so unpredictable in its early stages that the vast majority of other dimensions are actually barren. If you were to, so if let's say we were to actually teleport to another dimension, right? But you just snap your fingers and you're in the same exact spatial reference. Have you known, you've probably done, I assume you've taken a few classes on 3D design, creating images with Maya, let's say.
Yeah.
So imagine your reference points are all the same, the numbers are all the same, but you get teleported into another game. You have no idea if you're above the plane of existence where you'll hit ground, or where you'll just be falling in infinite space.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of the same thing, that people kind of forget that the vast majority of other universes are actually empty to where they are. Which is the really funny, nifty thing, is because the universe is so big, existing in a fourth dimension in that way, there's probably more space than you know, and there's also a relative theory of other universes that there probably aren't as many as we think there are. Because generally speaking, people will always follow their logical path line. No one makes a hard 180 and just changes their mind out of the blue and sticks with it. So out of, let's say someone is desperate, right? Desperate for money, so they decide to rob a liquor store, right?
Mm-hmm.
Odds are, every single time, in every single reality, they're going to do that because they're that desperate for money. And there might be one where they don't, but that's really not the case. Once you've made up your mind, if you are someone who's willing to stick with their idea, you're going to stick with it. And if you're someone who generally backtracks all the time, odds are you won't. And the situation isn't inherently a null point, but whenever we think of, you know, there are all these different possible realities, and it's like, yes, but no. And that's kind of the benefit of looking at time in a very... Oh, so I just found it, okay. We live in a single dimension perceiving time. We live in a two-dimensional perception of reality in a three-dimensional space of reality. So we see reality in two dimensions. We exist in three, but we don't see in three dimensions, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I've always said that too.
Yeah, and of course, anyone who sits down and goes, that doesn't make sense. We see yeah, it's like, no, you don't. You have two eyes. The only reason you can tell distance is because of shadow and light and the shading, which is why we can make art look hyper realistic to the point where you're like, oh shit, that's not a real image.
Have you seen those what's it there's this device that copies the image of whatever object you put like underneath it and makes it look 3D on top of that like glass like part. Yeah, it's really cool, and it just shows you how like how much our
how much our perception of things aren't as they are.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the thing about time itself, because we experience time in such a one-dimensional experience. It's always moving forward, it's always right in front of us. We can't really do a 180 on time. There is this inherent situation where we simply have a hard time grasping that everything is happening all at the same time. So, not theoretically, there are people living in, you know, the 1900s, 1800s, just as we are now. That's still happening for them, just like life is still happening for us, and that's where it gets a little scary. It's like, well, does life ever end? Well, yes, they're not existing in our timeline. In fact, they're not existing in any timeline outside their own. But neither are we. It's like, do you remember not existing and all of that shit beforehand? I don't. I'm happy I don't, because I think it would actually be really wonky to view existence in the life of anything else. At least in the sense of, like, you wouldn't really have a grasp of it. It'd be confusing as shit. In fact, it would probably look almost completely alien.
Yeah. You'd feel like such a foreigner.
Yeah. And funnily enough, you know... Oh my god, I need to stop clicking off the screen. Funnily enough, there is this kind of... I would say an awakening, at least, with people kind of understanding that. But it's definitely still very minor. Most people are still in their own, like, planet. This is my life. This is my existence. And you should have some appreciation of that, but we definitely put it a little too high.
They're technically more of an idiot. And I don't mean the negative connotation of that word, the actual meaning, which is like they're on in their own. A lot of people are in their own private world.
Yeah. And to be fair, life is pretty isolating to where that makes sense, you know? Like, I can't be all too upset that people are focused on their own life. I'm really no different, of course. I don't think anyone ever truly is, right?
Yeah, even when you think, like, you know, people who are obsessed with what other people think and stuff like that, that's still them being in their own world because they personally want to be good for other people. You know, it still has to be about them.
Yeah, and that's always going to be, you know, a nifty aspect. It's kind of, I had an image, I kind of like a scene like I very much want to play out, which is what happens when you as a human see you in all of your different iterations existing at once, where the separation of time no longer exists, as if though a four-dimensional being, at least to where your soul has inhibited another entity. FYI, I'm gonna kind of spoil something that I believe particularly. I think a soul is literally nothing more than a sphere.
Say that one more time? Sorry, I missed that.
A soul. It's nothing more than a sphere, like a spherical object. And the reason I believe this is simply because all things in existence are spherical.
Yeah.
And the second you take it out of existence, it is no longer spherical, it's free to form itself in whatever way, shape, or form it wants. However, the simplest, most powerful shape is a sphere in the entire universe. That's why planets, stars, all of that shit is spherical. When left in the void of space, everything's going to become spherical. Now, of course, gravity plays a part, motion plays a part. That is unavoidable, but ultimately, everything is inherently naturally spherical. Now, this is what I believe. I can never prove it. No one will ever be able to prove anything. I just also find it funny. It's like, a soul is, you know, this angelic wing thingy, and it's like,
yeah.
You're allowed to believe that. I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. I don't know, but this is what I believe, and here's why I believe it. It makes more sense. It also makes more sense that a sphere is the most possible shape you can achieve that can be, in fact, four-dimensional. Because technically it has an infinite amount of points. A sphere has an infinite amount of points in mathematics.
But here we are, the clock tower.
Our creepy friend must be
In case you didn't know, a fun little math fact for the day.
Ah, that was something I didn't know.
Yeah,
cool.
So that's one of the few shapes that would be able to perfectly coexist in four dimensions. And if I believe that a soul can exist throughout space and time, spread across it, then that's kind of the most logical shape you could use to reduce as much bullshit as possible. And life tends to operate that way. I've found that most things, like, you try to take the, you know, path of resistance.
Yeah, definitely. See it every day.
But of course, you know, as always, this is just the way I think about it, and it's just a theory at best. I'm always kind of quick to stop myself in any nifty, high-flung idea to go. But at the end of the day, am I handling, like, my own business? As much as I really do love to be outside of my own body and not worry or think about, you know, the immediate life bullshit, I really do like to think about the nifty things. But at the end of the day, I do also need to make sure that, hey, bills are being paid, I'm not actively, like, fucking people over in life.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the other bit, is I'll also be, like, the first one to go, and as this beautiful, nifty imagery is passing, you know, overhead, you can't ignore the reality that is life, right?
Yeah. It's true.
We're getting close. I can't wait.
Yuck! Ugh, that nasty webbing is everywhere.
But yeah, I totally understand like the way you kind of view it all to be, not just the present, but the past and the future.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's going to be interesting. I know a lot of people are just terrified of, what's the future going to look like. It's like, well, I mean, as long as you're not actively trying to cause chaos, not only in your direct life, but just in life in general, it tends to be a lot less chaotic. In fact, I've been more or less bored, which is why I've been working on all of this, is because, well, there hasn't been a lot of chaos in my life.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, it generally kind of gets to me when people go, my life is really chaotic, and it's like, well, what's going on with you? And then it's a bunch of internet drama at worst,
Yeah.
and it's like, no, your life is fine.
You're just
I know
you're
that
just perceiving it as chaos. You don't
Yeah,
want to, handle it.
Bursting into my nest without knocking.
like
Have you no
it
manners?
seems to be chaotic,
Bite
but
me, 8 legs.
you're
Time
really
to bug out.
choosing it to be in that
After
state.
you, monsieur.
You're choosing to literally, as you said, perceive it that way. It's
Yeah,
not even
and
the reality of the situation.
what's the word? It's almost like it's funny because right now I'm playing I'm fighting a boss because the game is about being in the human mind, right? That I'm playing right now.
Mhm.
And the boss I'm fighting is the boss of irrational fears. And honestly, that's what it is. Like, it's just people giving into their irrational fears, things that can't necessarily hurt them. Like, especially if they just have control, and understand, that they can be a little bit stronger than that.
Mhm. And that's also the thing is, I mean, it's very common for us to get trapped inside our own mind. That's kind of why the perception of how we view the world just matters so deeply. Not just the world, but ourselves and our environment. Because once you tell yourself something, it's a lot harder to get out of that mindset then. Once you say something is like a fact, like this is the reality of the situation, it's like, well, now you're more or less trapped there until you realize you don't need to be. Because you might not be able to get out of your immediate environment, but you choose to believe whatever you want to.
Yeah.
No one wants to hear that because, of course, then, once again,
They get the
responsibility
responsibility, yeah.
yeah, responsibility is immediately on their hands again, and that's what people hate having most, is the responsibility for, well, themselves.
Oh, and then when they do, there are some people out there that when they do understand that it's their responsibility, they just blame themselves now because they, know it's their responsibility. And so it goes nowhere. They just say, well, I guess I'm just trash, or I'm just, they start beating themselves up. I was like that in the past. I was very depressed all the time. So I would just be like, well, I'm just causing my own misery. Then, like, and it leads to that, suicidal thing too. Is like, well, I guess I should just put myself out of my misery because, what's the point? I'm the one causing it.
That's also, I think, kind of one of the good reasons to look at yourself not just in the right now, but the possibilities of the future, and not to regret any decisions of the past, but they were decisions you made because you likely didn't know any better. Like, I'm generally amazed when people honestly say that they've never thought of or attempted suicide. Almost everyone by the age of 30 has either done something suicidal, not on purpose, but, just driving a car recklessly when you're young, because every fucking buddy does that. Everyone does that.
Don't let the bedbugs bite, spider.
That's just, again, that's a very natural thing for people to do. It's just a part of their system.
Yeah.
And it's not inherently good nor bad. It's just the way we are as young people.
I think what helped me a lot though is just having the ability to self-reflect and just be self-aware that you can make a difference. That not only can you cause yourself misery, but you can also cause yourself joy.
Happiness, yeah. You can definitely improve your situation just as much as you can cause problems or ruin it. It's, as you said, it's solely up to you. And again,
Another nightmare bites the dust.
that's the type of
You're damn
freedom
right. Just like in the old days, buddy. Now, let's get this
that no
ass
one,
back to the game.
I can't
I
say
hear
no one, but a lot of people are scared to take control of because, of
Mhm.
course, then you are in control. You cannot blame your parents. You cannot blame your life. You cannot blame your environment when you're the person putting yourself in it, right?
Yeah.
So it's generally 1,000 times easier to not touch something than to say, hey, I didn't touch this, so I'm not responsible. But when it's your life, it's like, you should be the only person touching it.
Let's get
You
this
should be the
virus
only
back
person
to the
with
game
the
so we
say in
can
it.
end this.
Yep. You I'm sure you've read Viktor Frankl's, right? The Man's Search for Meaning.
No, actually I haven't.
Oh, you haven't? Oh, if you get a chance, check it out. It's a good. That's pretty much what that book is about. Like he talks about how when he was in the Nazi, because he was a scientist who worked. He got put in the Nazi camp during World War II, and he made it out. And he just talks about how every man is searching for their meaning, right? And it goes to that whole existentialism where you kind of like, you know, the purpose in life is whatever you make it, right? And whatever
Another fool.
and that's gonna drive you to survive, you know, want to get past. It's so hard to freaking talk and play this game at the same time. So it's just like that, like just, and the idea that nobody can take that away from you. You are in control of that, you know, until the very moment you lose your brain or something like that. You know, something happens to your very being, that you can no longer, you know, consciously think anymore. No one can take that away from you. And you know, that's what, you know, he kind of pretty much says, like, that's what's got him through the Nazi death camp, is just, you know, keeping that, you know, sense of purpose, that sense of meaning in life, and didn't let anybody take that away from him. Yeah, if you get a chance, check that book out. It's really cool.
Yeah, it sounds really nifty. I always do find it a little interesting, at least to myself, when I find myself listening to either survivors or just, you know, something's on YouTube, some nifty
You will find the pathway to the conscious
video about like, oh, this was happening here and this was happening that, because I guess that's an amazing point about history is I would say we are probably one of the most like coddled and protected.
All right, let's see what's on
times
the
in
other
human
side.
existence.
Lead on, buddy.
Yeah.
Granted, I also do feel like we do overblow it. We kind of expect reality to have been like this, but that's really not the case. Most of the time, it's really not the case. But, you know, raids did happen. In real life, you know, a fucking Vikings did raid, and they did kill and plunder and pillage.
Yeah.
And wars happened on skills.
That was so much fun.
Battles.
Ooh,
but
I never want to play spin the bottle again.
those battles.
Where the hell did we end up?
I'm not really sure. As a nestling, I was told about a kind of pathway between our home and the consciousness club.
Whether you were,
Allegedly, this place is always morphing,
you know,
constantly
whether
getting
they would
reshaped
take
by the new thoughts that filter down from the conscious mind.
prisoners, or, you know, everyone was pretty much going to be killed just because they could. And that's still, you know, that still happens in certain parts of the world, unfortunately, but thankfully that's not really the case, or I would say at least half of the planet. That might be a little, I hope that's not too high of a statement, but it would also feel wrong to say, like, it only happens to
Let the
extent.
tide of depression roll over you.
I wouldn't buy it. It's below 30.
That guy is such a killjoy.
Like, that's the lowest I
Can't
could say
blame
that
him.
number.
Everyone has something to lose.
But also, you know, like, that's the thing about wars, usually speaking, like, I'm not including, you know, shit like, let's say, cartels in, you know, South America. I'm not talking, you know, Uyghur camps in China. I'm not talking about that horrible shit, because that's not really, like, a direct war. You can't really
Watch out,
do
Dusty.
anything about that.
Mm.
At least in the sense of, like, that, you know, in America, I have literally no effect on any of those aspects. I can't influence them, I can't reduce them, I can't make them worse, I have no control on them. You know, life. That's so far out of my control that I don't even look at those situations.
Yeah. That's
Granted,
understandable.
wars are too, but I just don't consider those to be a bad, even though they kind of are, at least in some regard.
it's kind of like the whole thing with COVID. Like, it's an awful thing that's happening, but if you don't have any control really over it, you just adjust to it and, you know, keep trying to survive and do the best you can. You know, and that was what I pretty much did during the year of COVID. I always tell people, like, COVID was probably one of my best years in my life ever. Only because, like, I was just able to just, you know, I was just focusing on what I had to get done. You know, it's like one of the first years I ever had that mentality. Like, I was always worried about everything else, you know, what's going on with the world, or what's going on with other people, you know, what drama's going on now. No, I was just like, I want to read some freaking books. I want to learn some new stuff. I'm going to go exercise. I'm going to go take care of my body. Like, I was just, like, in my own place. And, yeah, you know, it kind of goes to that whole thing where I was saying before, like, some people are just stuck in their own world. They're idiots, you know, in the good sense of the word. But in a way, sometimes you have to be an idiot, you know, to get certain things done. You have to just be on a focus on what you need to get done for yourself. But it's like both being an idiot, but also being aware that the things around you can't really affect, and so that you can return to yourself comfortably and okay, you know, like with what you're doing, you know, with confidence.
Been trying to grow new thoughts here.
Yeah, and that's kind of a big aspect is there are 20-year-olds, you know, who's only what 7, 8 years younger than us, but they have that 20-year-old mentality of like, I have to help the planet, I have to help all of this stuff. I cannot help. I cannot do a goddamn thing about.
And the world is awful.
Yeah, the world is awful, and I need to be a savior. And it's like, you need to clean your room.
Yeah, that Jordan Peterson rule.
Yeah.
Clean your damn room. I was actually have you seen his other book that he made?
I have the 12 I have read that.
Yeah. His second one he just released quite recently is that's like how to, like, the 7 rules of order or something like that. Because he says, like, in his first book he just talked about how to manage the chaos, or manage the order, like to bring order to your life. And then in his new book he's pretty much like talking about how to bring chaos to the life and be okay with it, you know. To, you know, now that you've organized everything, cleaned everything up, how to be okay with a little bit of chaos, because you have to, you know, break a couple of things to kind of move it forward.
Life will always have some element of chaos. That is
Thoughts around here seem to have developed some drastic defense
impossible to avoid some level of chaos. But generally speaking, there are people who sit at way too much
Make that
chaos,
shell
and
creature
like
move.
that's just normal. But because that's there, they never actually develop. They never actually grow because they're just constantly feeling chaos.
Yeah, and it's funny because in his second book he talks about the fact that people were getting mad at him because, you know, he originally said to clean your room and everything, and I guess they found out that he was, you know, struggling to keep his office clean and stuff like that, and because he was going through a hard time, he was like severely sick. His family was going through operations and things like that. He was just going through a lot of stuff, and he's just like, yeah, even I can't even keep my room clean, and that's okay. We have to learn to, you know, be all right with that. That sometimes we can't keep up, you know. And it kind of makes me think of the 4 Agreements. You ever heard of the 4 Agreements?
Yes.
Yeah. The one where they say always do your best. Like, it kind of goes into that. Like, sometimes you're not gonna be able to completely order everything, you know, in your life. Sometimes you're gonna let it slip, and you have to just be okay with that and just come back next time. If you're feeling even stronger, you know, come back 110%, you know, like, whenever you can. Sometimes you're gonna be sick and you have to sleep all day, you know, stay in bed and sleep all day just to recover. Just always do your best. But I feel like people think they have to be at the tip-top shape at all times. You know, honestly, like,
It's not possible. Like,
no.
You will absolutely lose your sanity if you try that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just like today, like, this whole week I feel like I was just going. And then today I honestly felt a little sad. And, like, there wasn't anything really happening that was making me sad, but I was just more just like, I want to
Yeah, you
rest.
just want- yeah.
And I rest. I rested for like a good hour. Then my body was like, all right, let's get back into this. We can do this. This is funny. Hey, how does this work? Ooh.
Good thing it's so thick-headed.
Look, the despair can't move through the shell.
Oh my lord. Oh no. Ugh. I'm trying to see if I can beat this game today. So I can move on to the next one. Been doing it so far this year, and I want to see if I can like be consistent enough to get all the games that I listed on my list done this year.
Yikes! I thought we got rid of all
Well,
the
yeah,
despairs already.
One more thing
It's a big list.
Not good.
Cause like for my stream I do like monthly themes, right? Like the theme of this month is, I just said Moody March. Just contrived, what do they call them? Alliterations? They're just like, oh, it's Moody March, and last month was Fighting February. That silly stuff. But, so like for this month I have this game that I'm playing right now is Figment, because I've been wanting to play this one. I've had it in my Steam library for a good while now, and I love the art of it and everything. Not too excited about the gameplay, honestly. So it's whatever. I think that's what's kind of killing it for me. Yeah, it's nothing like crazy cool or anything or fun. I like, the art of the game is what I'm kind of here for, if anything, and the storytelling. I'm really curious what's going on with this person's head that we have to, because I guess like the character we're playing as is like the, what's the word, the self-awareness, I guess, to like change. And you're going through the mind trying to clear up all the like bad stuff like plaguing the mind. So like the first, I have to fight 3 nightmares right now. I'm on the last one, but the first one was like the plague, where like, you know, the idea that you're not taking care of your body anymore because you're sad, or you're just full of anxiety and stuff like that, so your health just starts to decline. And then the second one was that rational fear one that I was telling you about. And now I'm fighting despair. You know, he's bringing like the idea of futility and there's no point in everything. And so that's like the last one we're trying to get. And like he's plaguing the part of the mind that's like at the front of the mind, like, you know, the actual conscious of the mind. They're completely aware of it. So we're just trying to get rid of them now. But the thing is, we as a hero are also in that part of the mind now, so we're coming out, you know. I think it's pretty cool. I like the whole idea of it. They have a little bit of science in there too with what's the word? Neuron, the way the synapses and neurons work. That's really cool. Yeah, like I said, it's just the gameplay. I'm kind of just like whatever about it.
Slightly sounds like a slightly more serious Psychonauts.
Yeah. Yeah, I was actually saying that when I first started playing this game, that this game, I don't know if you ever heard of the game Samorost?
Nope.
No? Okay. The art style of Samorost is very similar to this game, which is like very dreamlike, and I don't know if you. Okay, so they also made Machinarium. Have you ever seen Machinarium or Botanicula? I think it's called. They made those games too. If you, I don't know if you've heard of those. Oh my god, I almost killed myself. But anyways, yeah, I always say that it's a mixture of that game, Samorost, and Psychonauts. Also, it just feels like. Oh shit. No idea what I'm doing. Ooh. I get it now. Apparently they're having another big update for Vermintide.
Oh, nice. Oh yeah, they plan to do a fourth fourth subclass for every character.
Yeah, but apparently there's also like a big expansion or something like that coming out.
Oh, cool. Should have to try that.
Yeah.
I enjoyed playing it. I don't know why everyone else played it. It's not fun.
I enjoyed it.
We just need a consistent forest.
We just need consistent people.
That's true. Maybe Echo would be good.
Who?
Okay,
Oh, okay.
My friends, slave to the man, trying to
Yes,
stop the inevitable
I
oncoming
just-
fear.
The game is
Beat the snot
sort of
out
loud
the
too,
other
so.
players. You're next.
Ha! Stray second-rate phobias, mere fabrications of a much deeper trauma.
I think it was a word I heard today, and I want to add it to my vocabulary. Is
Look at this place.
what was it?
The trauma's already taking
Somification
root.
or something like that? I gotta starting to forget it.
You're
Now.
already too late, friend.
The bloated bellyacre ran again!
So
Will this ever end?
I know it starts with
Nightmares are
soma.
cowards, no matter how tough they act. The only way to defeat them is to face them.
Somify, I think.
Well, sorry, there's a psychedelic milk drink called Soma. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah. Well, it's all it really is. It's magic mushrooms that are doused in milk. Ghost milk specifically. It's from ancient India. No, not India. I can't remember which one. Okay, I'll have to look that one up. But it was used as kind of like a battle elixir in a way, because it would obviously
Hey
kind
Joe,
of
what's up?
change the way you were feeling it or the way you were feeling about it.
Huh.
Well, so it was a psychedelic. It was like hard. It was like taking, like 3 or 4 mushrooms that you were drinking instead. I'll link you a video about it. It's actually really cool.
You know, I was interested in the psychedelic stuff in the past. I don't know. I feel like I've kind of lost my just motivation to want to do those stuff. Like, I guess part of me is
Yeah.
just not as curious anymore.
Well, that's the thing too. Is I can definitely feel like for a long time I wasn't interested in it, but I wasn't interested in it because I was told like I listened to people telling me I'm not allowed to understand that stuff.
Yeah. Totally get that. When it should be the complete opposite. What am I doing here? I wanna put down. Okay. I know what to do. How did the painting or the baby's room go, Joe? Oh wait, that didn't work. No. Oh, I guess we can sort of do that now. Oh yeah, actually, no, this will work. This will work. And that's a big thing that I think has been helping a lot recently is, how we're saying that we're responsible for what we do and stuff like that, right? What happens, whatever we're in control of. And it kind of made me think of like today, when I found out that my last stream, like I messed the audio up and everything. I remember before I used to get so beat up about it, like just like I'm like, oh man, I'm so demotivated, I don't want to stream or do that. And like I was even thinking of this as like, because I seen like big YouTubers like Markiplier and stuff like that, that also struggle with that same issue. Like sometimes their mic's not working and they're sitting there talking for a good while, and they're just like, oh, my mic's not working. Shoot. Oh wow, that killed me. Okay. Oh, I have to do. No, I don't. Okay. But just like the fact that they have people there telling them, right? Like, oh hey, by the way, your mic's not working. And I was thinking, I was like, man, I don't have that luxury, unfortunately, to have like a bunch of people watching and then being like, oh, hey, Mike, by the way, your audio sounds awful or something like that. Can you fix it or whatever? I don't have people there to do that. And instead of being like, oh, well, that sucks, I don't have people to do that, what's the even point of trying, you know, stream, it's just hard, you know, my brain immediately went to the whole notion of, well, that's your job then. You gotta go fix that. you gotta listen to your own stream and, like, you know, figure out how the sound works and everything, or like how's the sound going, just that kind of stuff. And just funny and awesome at the same time. It's just even, yeah, like, you know, you tell that to specific people that, you know, they'd probably just be like, what do you mean it's my problem? But it's just like, you gotta just, I hate this saying, and I'm not, you know, I'd rather have a different saying, but you know, they always say pull yourself up from your bootstraps. I want to say something else, because pulling up yourself from the bootstraps is impossible. So I want something more, and doesn't sound so
Watch the ground.
Outdated.
Wow, what the?
not just outdated, but like, no, like you don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
I just don't think you pulled hard enough, Michael.
I just need bigger muscles. Better grip. Oh, of course. Oh. Oy. Oh, I take it Alfredo's over there too. Pues. Do I need to go over there and slap both of you? I'll do it. Actually, I might go over there though. Sounds fun. Hang out with the bros. I feel like I kind of need that right now, anyways. I wanted to get some, why do I keep rolling like an idiot? Like a dummy. No, sorry, that's not. Uh-huh. Because Joe obviously knows how to use Google Translate perfectly. No offense, Joe.
What's this thingamajig?
Looks like some sort of synapse charger.
The way I see it, it'd just be out of Joe's character. Just like what Richard was saying earlier. Just wouldn't be in his character to suddenly be using Google Translate.
But it's empty.
That's funny. What was this supposed to do? There. Fill that up with some purple.
Nifty. The battery got charged.
Power to the purple.
Oh, shut your mouth, Piper. Oh. Oh, okay. Why does it work like that?
Step on it. Actually, this pathway place
Ooh.
rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah, the things around here are the freshest thoughts. And the mind sure has slowed down.
All I see is the adult things.
Oh fucking god.
What happened?
No, I'm just this isn't. Oh my god, it's. I'm just trying to not lose my fucking mind. It's a fucking time walking, and they can't kill a fucking ad to save the fucking life.
Oh my god. Which dungeon?
Yes, let's see where it leads us.
Skyreach.
We've got a nightmare to handle.
Like this is not hard stuff, and I'm literally just about to leave. Cause I just can't.
Es la verdad. Okay. Y'all fucking with me, huh? Yeah, I mean,
Catching up to the sobbing chicken.
if you feel it'll be better for you,
I really don't know
so
what to
I'd say
expect
do
in
it.
this place.
Move on to the next one.
Yeah. But keep your
No,
eyes
if I
peeled
leave,
for
I
the
have to wait 6
nightmare.
minutes. I can't destroy another, but I'm letting Trouble know that. I'm like, if we wipe again, I'm out. I cannot handle this. I cannot handle people who don't know how to
Contraption.
not be dumb. Just stop being dumb.
Way to remember, Dusty.
These mongrels are here as well.
Fight everybody at the same time. No, but for reals, are you guys both over there? Because if you guys are, you know, I did my studying already earlier. Got a lot done actually. So I would love to come over. If you guys would have me.
He flew away. After him, Dusty.
Hmm?
The road seems to end here.
I said, yeah, go have fun.
We'll have to go by the book.
Yeah, but I still need to finish this game though. That's my first goal. But then after, for sure, like,
Take off.
I feel like I need to
Hope you
get
have your
out.
ride booked.
I've either been at work or just
The thief littered his hopelessness
I've either been at work or on this computer playing stuff or in my room studying or running. I just need to change a piece. I can't wait for, I mean, not everything necessarily to get to normal, but just to, what's the word? Yeah.
He blocked our path again.
Just so I can be like, yo, you guys want to? You know what I want to bring back is my board game club. That's like been the biggest thing I'm like kind of bummed out about. So I really enjoyed that, like just having everybody hang out and stuff like that, and play some board games and just chill. That was fun.
Another one of these.
Step in.
And I have plenty of board games I want to play. Actually, I gotta go stop by that place and see how they're doing.
We should. They closed.
Uh,
Most of those places got hit hard.
yeah, it's unfortunate. Oh, you're gonna head over soon? Okay. Give me a ride then. Wait up. We can save gas. Or I'll give you a ride. Whoever wants to take the car.
That came together nicely.
This sucks too, because they just recently renovated their place. And then that shit happened. It's just like, god damn, talk about poor timing. They're good peeps too. Little. You ever meet somebody you're like, I like these people, they're nice, but there's something off?
Yep.
I'm dreading.
That's how I felt about them. Like,
You
you could,
people are nice. You people are weird, but you're nice.
yeah. It was just like, you could tell. I mean, everyone has things that need to work out, but you could tell there's something that they needed to work out. That's pretty evident, and I was just like, ah. I see. Okay, what am I doing wrong here? Oh, I have to change it again. Oh, I messed up.
Right.
Thoughts are fleeting here. You'll have to do
Oh,
the
that one's
remembering.
easy. What do you mean? Oh, okay, thank God.
Whew, finally. There we go.
Get back on the book.
All of that just for that. Okay. Yeah, we're almost done with this game. I just need one more stage, I think, after this stage, and we fight the final boss. Oh no, I feel like freaking Austin Powers.
That was close.
Yeah. all this despair is
He's about to
starting
be
to
run
get on
over
my
by the
nerves.
bulldozer.
Wow, I don't have a debuff or alleviate. Holy shit.
They were just like, nah, we agree.
That's how bad that was. I should have been done with 2 fucking time walking by this point. We could, they just would not do death loss. They were so focused on these 2 fucking aspects of just stunning and DPSing.
Jeez. Well, about that, what do you mean? You already left? Or you already there? Because I know you always do that, where you're just like, oh yeah, sure, I'll be heading over there soon. And then you'll be like, I'm here. Don't you fucking do this to me, man. Oh. Shit. Alright. That. I feel like we're gonna. Oh, what's up?
I need to take a break. I am losing my mind. That was
I don't know.
painful.
You gonna head off right now?
Yeah, I'm gonna take a break. Oh my god. Oh my fucking sanity. My sanity, Michael. It's
You're losing your mind.
yeah. Yeah, that was insanity.
See, I think that's why a lot of the times I don't like to play with random people, because most of the time I'm definitely gonna have less patience with random people, but not just that, it's just it's not as worth it to put in the energy, because these people you're not gonna see again, and so it's like you're just expelling energy for these people only to just, you know, see it just go away. I feel like you're expelling more energy to get something done, which, you know, like, sure, you know, you gotta learn to have the patience with it, but at the same time, it's like, I'm playing a game to have fun. I'm not playing a game to like drive myself crazy and like be like, oh, I've increased my patience with people. Like, no, I'm not here to do that. I'll do that in real life, like out in the real world and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I want to use that. Not when I'm playing games. Unless I'm like, you know, playing games for the first time with a new friend or something like that. But my mind's gonna be like, this is a new friend, a potential, you know, part of the family in a way, in a sense. You know, that's pretty much what it is.
A social investment.
Mm-hmm. But if it's just a random person, it's just like, why? I just don't have. I don't want to put the time in. I really don't. Also, Hitori's always getting on me like, oh, I don't know why you don't like to play with random people. It's like, I don't understand. I just can't. It's not fun.
No, it can be tough. It can be really tough. Just feel like that was how I was looking. Like I was chilling fine. Now I'm slightly, you know, tilted just by the level of stupid I was enduring.
Oh no. Oh, I'm stupid. Ah! Ay, ay, ay. I have to do all this over again. Hey, how much do you know about chemistry?
You know about what?
Chemistry?
Chemistry? Not that much.
No?
I know the basics. You know, I know how to make mustard gas by stupidity.
I guess I'm like more asking about the nitty gritty. Like, what are like the most important things to understand about chemistry? Not necessarily the concepts, but the what would be the word? Practical, or not even practical. I don't know. Maybe it is the concept. But go ahead. Sorry, you were gonna say something.
So I would say the practicality of it, or at least in a sense of when dealing with chemistry, are you talking about like human biological chemistry, or just dealing with like chemicals, like mixing chemicals to make different animals? That's kind of the other bit. Like
Yeah.
chemistry is a very like umbrella term.
Yeah, I guess it would be more of the just how chemicals react to stuff. Because
so
I was trying to get into that earlier today. Trying
I
to
would
learn the
say-
basics.
one of the core aspects of chemicals is not to confuse them inherently with elements, right? You have the whole periodic table
Yeah.
element. But chemistry more has to do with how molecules of this collected material interact with other molecules.
Yeah, and create
They break
compounds.
off- yeah. Elements create compounds. Compounds are the chemicals that we generally use. And those compounds will have certain benefits, or more importantly, not inherently benefits, because that kind of, I would say just reactions when certain bonds are either broken or formed when you're mixing components together.
Mm.
That's like obviously the most like superficial surface, basic knowledge I have on it.
Yeah.
And I really should have slightly better knowledge on it because I am, growing mushrooms and I do intend to expand that one day. But I noticed you had saw that and you had commented on it because someone brought up mushrooms.
Yeah, because I was joking because I was having one of my manic states and I was like so pumped and everything. And I had tagged Josh and he's like, Mike, are you on cocaine or crack or whatever? And I said, no, I'm
Beyond our physical.
yeah. I said, so shrooms. I was just messing around, but
yeah. I'm growing mushrooms.
Huh.
Yeah, but those are just regular black oyster mushrooms. They're not magical by any stretch of any imagination. I'm not doing that until either it's legalized in a state where I can produce it and sell it, which will probably be another 4 to 5 years minimum.
Mushrooms
and
are
it'll
really
probably
cool.
be Colorado.
Arkansas. I'm stupid. Oh my god. I'm gonna get myself killed again.
Yeah, it's a Home Depot bucket that I grown out of, and they're in a large plant pot. There's nothing in it except water because they only really need manure. They don't need soil. They don't need manure most often. Some do, but most often.
Who's that?
I'm kind of getting into botany.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I love botany. I actually recently went through a whole book about that. I want to go through it again because I feel like I was only able to grasp like half of that, and I just feel like if I go through it again, since half of that I'll be understood, I can use type to understand the other half. But my favorite part of that book was just the way fruits are categorized, and it's like it just in a way blew my mind. Like when you explain it to somebody, they're just like, okay, I guess that's cool. But like my brain was just like, whoa, strawberries are not even one fruit; they're multiple fruits. And blackberries are multiple fruits, and blueberries are similar to tomatoes. And I'm just like, oh my god, it was really cool. But
well, it's also funny because they are actually so separate. You have to treat them very differently. And people just aren't used to that because you say blueberry and strawberry, it's like the most berries. It's like, no, they're not.
No, they're not berry. Only the blueberries are berry. Strawberry is an aggregated fruit. An aggregated, yeah, it's an aggregated. I forgot what the term for it, the family that it belongs to. I'm not memorizing this. They're called drupes. That's what they're called, drupes. And they're pretty much like stone fruits are in the drupe family. They're any fruit that has one single seed in the fruit. And aggregated fruits are pretty much a bunch of fruits attached to one body. So strawberry, each of those little dots are actually the fruit. The red part is not the fruit. I actually don't remember what exactly the red part is, but it's not the fruit, which I find very interesting. The same thing with blackberries. What was that?
Because that's the part we eat.
Yeah.
We also do eat the seeds as well, because the seeds have some antioxidants.
Blackberries and raspberries are aggregated fruits. So each of those little like circles that are attached to each other, each of those are one fruit with a seed in it. So they're part of the drupe family but they're aggregated because they have multiple. So it's very interesting. But we have like avocados, peaches, apricots. All those are in the drupes. But then tomatoes are berries, cucumbers are berries, watermelons are berries. They're just all in different categories of the berry family. So you have berries that are more fleshy, so like tomatoes and blueberries and stuff like that. And then you have the leathery berries, which would be more of like the citrus, like oranges, lemons, limes, all those things. Grapefruit. And then you have the hard outer shell berries, like watermelons, cucumbers, squash, pumpkins, things like that. It's just, I don't know, like, I feel like the information's probably not that useful, but at the same time, I'm just like, this is really cool. I don't know. I'm trying to memorize these in Tetris shapes, so upside down L. Right.
I'm looking for to grow. I want to grow Thai basil and holy basil because one, they're not all that common. You can get Thai basil in certain Asian grocery stores, but like holy basil is incredibly hard to find. Because they're not one and the same, they're completely separate. One actually is more from India, believe it or not.
Huh. They had a chapter on the herbs and stuff like that, but I think my brain just kind of tuned out on that one. That's why I said, like, I have to go back and go through the whole thing. I guess I mean, it goes back to the whole Tridian cycles thing. I sometimes kept forcing my brain to, like, power through the book, so, like, I'm sure there were times where the information just went right over my head, because I was just, like, focused on reading instead of engaging with the information. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, the buffing thing is going to be a lot more aggressive.
Zin?
Yeah, Zin's out. Yeah.
Oh, shoot.
So they're giving his W a longer range,
I'm
but
really getting
unfortunately,
sick of
when he
chasing
hits
that guy
someone
around.
with the
Don't you
forward
know?
thrust,
In this
it
place,
will put
you don't chase
it
the
will
fear.
challenge them.
The
so
fear
with
chases
Zin,
you.
what that means is that he can then charge you. So they're dramatically, they pretty much double the charge range.
Oh, wow.
So he can actually charge and reach a Ezreal if I hit an Ezreal with my W, if the Ezreal uses his E and then flashes, I can still reach him with that charge.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Great! Let's find a place to charge this thing.
Yeah. I'm getting too old for
They've
this
also
stuff,
added a lot of
Don't
AP
talk! Just keep moving!
ratios to his thing. So in some cases, you could build, or at least I could build realistically what's that item? Azonius, and it would actually
Your struggle
still
is
give him a
pointless,
buff to
friend.
some of his abilities.
Everything
and
is.
also because when you fucking die, it's
When I
nice
get
to
my
be able to
hands
do
on that
it. I mean,
bastard.
You flew away. I'm starting to share your feeling.
Oh, lordy. Oh, goodness. Who else did they buff? Or is it just him right now?
The buffied Akali, the buffing, let's see the other champ. The Volibear is getting a stronger heal against wounded monsters. He is going to do some more damage. Silas is getting a buff to his attack speed and a buff to his cooldown on his. Oh, Pike's getting his dash is getting a buff.
His dash?
Yeah, so it's going to go down with level. It's not going to be so that dash that also does a stun. It's going to go down with level instead of being a flat 15 seconds. A lot of these buffs are more to like items. They're reducing a lot of sustain items. They're reducing a lot of lifesteal and Omnivamp.
Okay. I want to play League again.
Oh, you can. I haven't played them anymore. We actually do good when you do Pantheon and I do.
Oh,
Same,
yeah,
because we just fucking farm the people.
How do you... That's actually something I wanted to ask you. How do you feel about just jumping from game to game?
It doesn't bother me.
Because
Like,
I know Hitori gives me crap all the time. He says that I never stick with the game, but it's just like...
you don't have to. It's a game.
Yeah,
Like, I get what I understand the statement of, like, if you want to improve, you should be playing the same game often. But at the same time, sometimes it's fun to just play another game. Like, I really enjoyed when we played, that one game, Vermin because honestly, it was just not WoW.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy WoW, but at the same time, there's very little for me to master anymore because I've played it for 15 years.
Yeah.
For League, there's actually a room for me to improve, because the highest I ever got was into the Bones of Diamond. I was
We're
a
getting
Platinum
too
1,
far from
got to the
home.
Bones of Diamond,
If only we
couldn't make
could
it
have popped
there,
the
and
thief earlier, this would have been
at that
over
point I had
already.
also started returning to, there was Pandaland, so I'd also started returning to WoW. But you don't have to, like, play one game.
Yeah.
You know,
I understand though at the same time, like it's a
Yeah.
money thing, like especially with WoW, like you're playing WoW. Like I still want to play WoW. It's just that at the same time I don't really want
to play other games.
Yeah, like
think
I want to
we're
play
very
something
close
else
to the
sometimes.
patches
I don't want to burn
now.
myself out. Like
you have the
I don't
big
think I'm burned
control?
out of WoW. Honestly, it's just that there's not much to really do. You know, I'm waiting for the next patch to come out. But no, I'm
why
far
I
from
was like,
being burned out by WoW.
That's
Never
why I was
judge a
just
flying
like,
book
on
by its
Wednesdays, fuck it,
Are
we
you
have
okay?
reliably 4 to 5 people.
Mhm.
We should just be pushing you.
Yeah, and I love that.
Everyone would improve significantly better than trying to make hugs work, and it's
Oh, you
just 1,000
two!
times
The
better.
heroes
Mhm.
in this travesty
It
of a
also
story.
lets us kind of